Okay, so hi everybody. I am Sherri Mraz, the Cookin Yogi, and I want to welcome you here tonight and thank you for being here. I know everybody has a super busy life, and this tonight is very informal with Lori Kennedy, and it's an interview. We are going to have a Q&A. So at the end of us doing our little talk, you have time to ask any questions you want. We're keeping it really informal, and we'll try to keep it short and sweet. I know everybody's busy. I do just want to say, though, if you want to put something in the chat, you can go ahead, and I'll try to monitor it while I'm letting Lori speak, if that ever happens. And so I just want to introduce Lori. I think you all know her, but Lori Kennedy is the creator of the Wellness Business Academy and the WOW Weight Loss Nutrition System. And thank you, Lori, for being here. I feel super honored to have you. And I want to just take a second to say about my business and why I even have you here. I started, began my health coaching practice in 2007. And in the beginning, it was like, yay, I had clients, I was doing cooking classes. And then I realized, wow, I sort of hit a wall, and I started it became very stagnant. And I was going and doing classes and schlepping all this stuff and creating recipes and breaking out in sweats. And I realized that at the end of the day, I really didn't have any money to show for it. And my rationale was, well, I'm building a name. I'm building a business name. And so I kept trying to reason that. And then I realized, okay, building a business name doesn't pay my bills. So I heard that saying that if you fall in the mud, stick your hands in your pocket and look for fish. And so I said, oh my gosh, I have some fish here. I've actually been doing this. And so I'm teaching these cooking classes. And if I just rope it in and stick with a few things and perfect them, I'm building a system. So that's what happened for me. And I built a system, and I do done for you cooking classes. But I also had an aha moment that I needed to stop trying to do it alone. And we have so many mentors around us, people who are ahead of us, and we need to let them help us. And so that was a big aha moment, or another fish that I went, okay, I don't have to do it all alone. So I connected with you. I connected with a few mentors that I really respect, and it changed my business. And a lot of that stress started to go away, and the money started to go up. And also, I think it's a weird thing with health coaches. I don't think they realize that they're entrepreneurs. Unless you are working for someone else, you need to learn how to build a business. And we're all like, oh, we want to help people. Doesn't work. You need to have a strategy. So the one thing I know about you is that you are an expert in creating transformative and profitable online programs. So, sorry, I had a little stutter there. So even people who aren't looking to take their business online can benefit because they need systems and they need a plan. So that's why I asked you, and I'm super excited to jump into this. And the first question that I have for you, because I get asked this all the time from health coaches, is how do they organize their workday? How do they maximize their time, money, and energy?
That's such a good question. And sometimes I feel like saying, I don't know. I don't know. So really I can just share a little bit about how I do it. And for those of you who are new to me, hi, I'm Lori. By profession, I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I have two kids, one who is 7 and one who is 5. And I actually transferred my business online and did both for about 2 years, like 3 months after my son was born. So I do feel a little like I'm pretty qualified to answer this question in terms of how do I do it. The one thing that I think people need to figure out right from the get-go is when your prime creative flow time is, and do the work that requires flow and creativity only during that time. Usually it's about 60 to 90 minutes at some point throughout the day. Mine happens to be between 5 a.m. and 6:30. And if I'm uninterrupted, like if I'm away and I don't have kids, I can usually go from about 5 a.m. until 8 or 9, and then I need to like eat and replenish, and then I can maybe go until about 11. But after 11, I know that I'm not able to really create quality content that just flows out of me. If I try and do it later in the day, it's forced. I usually get super distracted, and it takes me 3 hours to write 1,000 words. That takes me 60 minutes at 5 a.m. And so knowing when you work best for specific types of tasks and honoring that work time and fiercely protecting it will dramatically increase your productivity, because you won't be trying to force the work, and you will feel less of like self-sabotage because you're not getting distracted all the time.
I think that is such great advice. I tell people a lot, it's not just time management, it's energy management. Just like you said, you have to know when you operate the best.
There's a really good, I want to call it an assessment, but it's not personality assessment. It's called the Kolbe, Kolbe. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's by a lady named Kathy Kolbe. And I swear I learned about it through Strategic Coach, which is my coaching group that I now belong to. And I'm pretty sure it transformed the way that I accepted myself. And so with this specific Kolbe assessment, it's something from what's called connotation, which is it's your instinctual behavior. So we all have units of energy for certain ways that we instinctually operate in this world. And I instinctually operate as a quick start. So like I have ideas and I implement them super fast, but so I have 8 units of energy for quick start, and I have 6 units of energy for planning. So if I use my 8 units of energy in the morning, I'm done. Mm-hmm. So then I can move over, I can like drain that creativity, and then I can do the rest of my day. But if I try to do those 8 units of energy at like 3 p.m., the rest of the day drains me. Right. So it's super important. Yeah, energy management.
Mm-hmm. It's very, I heard someone from the Army one time saying that's how they do it. It's like they get more done before the sun than most people by noon, something like that. But it's so true.
It's so true.
A lot of those old things, the early bird gets the worm, all those things we don't pay attention to.
Yeah, I think it's just about honoring when you work best and fiercely protecting it, and not wishing it away like, oh, well, it's okay and I'm tired. If that's when you work best, get up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So another question I get all the time is, what is the number one thing that they should focus on when they're creating a program?
So it's not so much that they have to create the program. It's what you said, focusing. So in my opinion, it's really hard to have a business when you don't have anything to monetize. So in the grand scheme of websites and social media and videos and lead magnets and ideal client avatars and promoting yourself and offline and online, if you don't have like a single revenue stream, like a product to monetize, like what your moneymaker is, that's what you focus on, and you don't do anything else until that's done. Imagine walking into a store that's launched. They're like, oh, okay, I have my store and great, come, like a website, right? Like people launch their websites, but it's empty. So like you walk into the store and there's empty shelves, and you're like, well, your shelves are pretty and your logo's really nice and you have business cards, but what you selling?
Exactly.
Like, I want to buy something. I came here for a reason. You got nothing. That's what people do with websites. And so it's the same analogy. Like, don't build a website if you don't have anything to sell. Wait until you have your moneymaker. Wait until you have something. So in terms of focusing your time, you need to figure out whether it's even just going to be one-on-one coaching until you have a streamlined, structured program. Do that, but do that. Don't do this and this and this and this over here. Like, go and do coaching, get the experience, understand where your strengths are and what you need to work on to improve it, and then move on to the next thing. But most people are so concerned with all of the pieces that don't really do anything to move the needle, because it's easier from an esteem and confidence perspective to fiddle with a logo than it is to self-promote and see clients. And it makes you feel, it's like cathartic. It makes you feel like you're actually making progress when you're not.
Good point. And that is great advice. I say that all the time. Like, imagine walking into the mall and seeing all these beautiful stores, but nothing for sale.
Like,
and I agree. People get to your website and they're like, well, what do I do? You need to be leading them to something. It's such great advice. So clearly, most of the people who follow me and who would be on this call are pretty much using cooking classes to promote their business. So what would you recommend would be a good way to help them to like sell the cooking classes or to market cooking classes?
So I think it depends, first of all, on who you're marketing to. So give me, like, who generally attends cooking classes?
It can be different. It's like any coaching. There are kind of niches. So maybe some people are going towards the kids. Some people are maybe that was a really big loaded question. We can revisit it even. I think that might be, you might answer
Let's use me as the ideal client avatar, because I actually don't like cooking, but but I want to learn how to make staple salad dressings, number one, and like standardized meals, like how to make chicken and broccoli taste good, right? Without like a bottled sauce. So
these classes, should be health related. So it's people who maybe don't like to cook, or maybe they do love to cook, but they don't know how to do the healthy thing easy.
Right. So I think first and foremost, how they sell it, which is actually wasn't intended to have this conversation, but you need to know who you're selling to, right? So before you go and create the menu and buy the groceries and do all that stuff, you have to decide, okay, who am I actually going to direct these cooking classes for? Because if you're wanting to do fancy schmancy cooking, I am not your ideal client avatar. That stuff overwhelms. Cookbooks freak me out. Like, I'm a nutritionist. I don't like to cook. They freak me out. So you need to use words that are like simple and easy, and you need to get me with like 5 ingredients and 20 minutes or less. So you really need to know the hot spots for who you're talking to. So if you're trying to attract, as an example, a mom who has 2 kids who are super picky, that doesn't do gluten and doesn't do dairy, like, that needs to be front and center. You need to basically say, these classes are for moms who work, who don't do this, who have picky eaters. You need to come out and say it. And I think a lot of people promote their business using their business name and like the name of the cooking class and expect that to attract the people that are in the class, when the title of your book, the title of your class doesn't matter. It's how is that class going to give me what I need? I need to know that up front. So I think creating some type of headline or some type of like tagline or benefit bullets around, this class is for busy moms who have picky eaters, who can't have dinner, and be like, that's totally me, right? So you need to really hone in on who it is that you're talking to. And then second of all, I think that if you have one person sign up, that one person has 5 friends. So you really want to implement some type of referral strategy for cooking, because they're local. Most people have friends. And when you're going to a niche, it's always birds of the same feather flock together. My friends don't cook either. I don't have fancy cooking friends. just not I know people who make their own almond milk, but that's not me and that's not my friends. So, but we would go to a cooking class to learn not necessarily how to make almond milk, but how to make chicken taste good. So you want to implement some type of referral strategies where you're giving me the actual email words to say, here, copy this and forward this to 5 of your friends who you want to come and do a class with, and it can be a girls' night, and every single person's going to get $10 off, and here, use this image and forward this email. You need to do the work for your people because they're not, like, you need to give them the tools to be able to talk about you. You need to give them the tools they can refer you. Take it one step further. When people come to your cooking classes, give them gift certificates. Give them gift certificates that they can then apply back to the cooking class, and or that they can gift to their friends. These are all really simple, like free, cheap, easy, grassroots strategies, but they work. I built my nutrition business with gift certificates. Like, not coupons, gift certificates. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I read your email.
Because I was gifting somebody. Yeah, it's just top of mind. But I left them everywhere because they were gift certificates. And who doesn't want a gift certificate? So using referrals, because the people that come to your classes have people who also should be coming to your classes, and giving them the exact structure and instruction for them to refer to you. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I would suggest, and actually I had someone who did this with me. They gifted it to me. A friend of ours created a little PDF recipe book. Maybe it was 5 pages. The nutritionist gifted the PDF to all her clients and said, here, send this out, forward this email to 5 of your friends who you think would love these recipes too. And so my girlfriend forwarded the email, no opt-in, nothing, no barrier to entry, nothing, just the link to the PDF download. But in the PDF download, there was an invitation to free cooking class or go watch a video. Like, there has to be some direction to subscribe to get the lead. But if you have your recipes and they're in a PDF, send that PDF to every single person who's ever attended one of your cooking classes and invite them to share the gift with their friends who they think would love the recipes too. No barrier to entry. It's not sleazy. You're literally giving away a PDF, and anyone who opens the PDF and goes, wow, these recipes are really good, they're going to seek you out. They're going to want to find more about you. So those are free strategies that the reality is, and I'm going to say this with love, you're listening to this and you're listening to me, and if you don't do these, they're not going to work. And the only way that you're going to be able to grow your business is if you have a consistent marketing plan, whether you use 1, 2, or 3 strategies that I just suggested. If you don't allocate time in your week and your day to sit down and say, okay, how am I going to grow my business this week? And you sort of sidestep the fear and the uncomfortableness about it, it's not going to work. I had to say it. I couldn't.
Well, let me just tell you something, Lori. I don't know. We keep having a little technology. It's like freezing. I don't know if you're realizing it because when you're talking, but it's doing weird things. But maybe you'll hear it happen to me. I don't know. But that was worth the whole webinar right there for people who are trying to build their classes. That was amazing advice. Thank you for that. Yeah. So simple. And I read every single one of your emails. I love them. They're so filled with content. And if anybody is not on, when I send this recap out, make sure you get on Lori's email list. I'll put a link to it, or you can just tell them how to get it. You want to like you said, you've got to read this stuff, but then you have to implement. I think so many times people are like going all over the place and trying to grab all this information. You won't get anywhere by just constantly learning and trying to grab all this. You need to get with a couple of people and follow them, or you're not going to get anywhere. It's like rolling 10 snowballs down the hill. You need to pick the people you're following and just, that's it. Stick with them. You can always change down the road, but that's how I think you really develop your business. It worked for me. So, what do you think? And this came from something I directly saw of yours, that you had 5 pieces of content that you think all successful online programs must have.
So I'm going to talk about this tomorrow in my webinar, but I built my business. So I had a nutrition business that was financially self-sustaining me for 7 years. And that I ran every Waste and Sunday. So once I figured out that doing the one-to-one thing was going to drive me into the cuckoo bin, I thought, okay, how do I take what I was doing and basically scale it so that not only I could facilitate it, but I could hire other people to facilitate it too, and it be standardized and structured so that my clients would get the same results as if I was teaching it. And when I figured out, okay, I can turn this into a group, the only way that I was able to do that was because I had that one-on-one experience. So if you're someone who's just starting, you need to work with clients before you can essentially create a scalable program, because you just don't know what you're going to be asked. You don't know the detail to put into it. And I firmly believe that if I didn't have those 2 years of one-to-one experience, I wouldn't have been able to create this program that has now been sold as private label to, like, honestly, used it to work with thousands of clients. So the 5 pieces of content are: 1 is called the appetizer. Sustain you until the meal comes. That's your getting started material. So when somebody enrolls in your world, whether it's like for a consult or for a cooking class, you need to give them an appetizer. You need to, take away the starvation and hold them over until the main dish. So the main dish is like your I'm not vegan, so I'm just whatever, but you're like, right? Like your main dish is your protein or your animal protein or whatever it's called. That is the teaching points. That is like your system. So first you do this, then you do this, then you do this. And people say to me all the time, class, there's a structure to your cooking class. You introduce yourself, then you do this, then you teach, then you review, like there's a structure to it. You have a system. Even in recipes, there's a system. First you do dry ingredients, then you do wet, So after you have your main dish content, which is, again, the main teaching topics that your clients need to learn and do in order to get the results that you're promising that plate by itself. So you add on a side dish, which is your handouts, audios, videos that support the main content that you're teaching, right? So let's just say that your main content was like a weekly webinar. Well, you're not just going to give your clients like a weekly webinar without a handout or a recipe or a meal plan or something. That's your side dish.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have dessert, because every good dinner needs dessert. And the dessert is the bonuses. Am I freezing?
Yeah. Do you have any other programs
Am I freezing?
on your computer maybe?
No, I don't. I made sure I shut them off.
I don't know why we're doing this. And here we both are saying how much we love Zoom, and it keeps freezing. Yeah. So we're going to have a little audio problem. But
see, maybe it's just you. They're all saying
okay.
fine.
Someone just said it sounds fine to me. Okay, well, it could be.
Keep going.
No. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not
Okay, so it's me. Continue on.
okay,
I don't
good.
know.
We were at dessert. I think
Yeah,
we were at
the
dessert.
best part.
Okay, so dessert are the bonuses. So even in cooking classes, I think anytime you sell anything, you need to give people a higher perceived value than the actual dollar figure. And that's the way that bonuses work. So let's just use the example of cooking classes. What can you give your attendees as a bonus that would sweeten the deal? That they would feel like, oh my God, really? You're going to give that to me? Maybe it's videos of 2 previous cooking classes that you're going to give them as a bonus. Or maybe it's, your 20 best recipes or a meal plan or something like that where they sign up for a class and you give them the bonus that has a perceived dollar value. It sweetens the deal. And so that's dessert. And then for those of you who are really ambitious and, want to maybe maximize the client per dollar value, you're going to add an upsell, which is, it's not a digestif, it's an aperitif, I think is the word, or digestif. I can't remember right now. Maybe a digestif. I can check my slides. I always get them confused. It's a digestif because you digest after the meal. So that would be an upsell, right? An upsell could be a package of classes, right? So I don't think anyone should ever just sell one thing at a time. Like, you should always sell packages of cooking classes if you have them. Even if you don't have them, sell them anyway and create them, is my opinion. But you could say, you know what, you're buying one for $150. I have no idea how much a cooking class is. I have a deal on right now for 3, right? And you, in talking to them, just be like, come for 3, or, invite 3 of your friends and use that as the deal, right? Because you want to maximize the per client value, basically, of what you're doing. And so those are the 5 things that really need to go into any program, whether it's online or offline. If you're running an offline detox or a series of cooking classes, or it doesn't matter. They need something to get started with right away until you have the main event. And then they need the main event content with supporting documents, bonuses, and an upsell.
Right. So something that you said, just to backtrack, that I think is really important, because I hear coaches all the time, they get all bent out of shape on, like, they got to figure out their target market. And something that I did when I first started was I literally kept like a piece of paper on my desk, like a sticker, and whoever contacted me or an email, whatever they asked me, I would write down like what was their problem and even where they came from. So I'm a really big believer in tracking. That's even a system I use with my clients. It's like, track everything you do. But if you pay attention to what people are asking you, then you know how to regurgitate the material to them. And you also know what you are destined to do, if that makes sense. Because I sometimes think, it'll happen to me all the time. I'll have, I mentor for IIN, so integrative nutrition. And so I'll have people who will say to me, I want to teach, classes for people who need to lose weight. And everyone in their family has had cancer, or they're a cancer survivor, and I'm like, there's a disconnect here. If the fish in the pockets, like, maybe sometimes our life is, and our challenges are our biggest blessing. If you pay attention to that, and then you pay attention to what people are asking you for, this business strategy, like you have down, I feel like I help people with maybe coming up with who they are, but you really need to know how to market yourself. You gave such amazing, great tips. And so I want to remind everybody that you said you have the webinar tomorrow also, because I think it's so important to get this stuff down. You can know who you are, who you want to help, and like I said, I have those done for you cooking classes, which I think really do help people, because you can start out, it's like a rinse and repeat. If you start working your business like rinse and repeat, then you will grow. It's when you start like we said, all dipping in this, in that, you're going to get stuck. So I think you want to stick with a few things and move it forward. And I love the idea of packages. That's how I do my things. I say, here's a series of 5 classes, but if you just want to sign up for one, it's a lot more money.
Right. And I think that there's huge value too in investing in those done for you programs, like the ones that you have, because it's the only way to learn by example. Like I've spent an obscene amount of money enrolling in other people's programs, not necessarily because I need to learn the content. I want to see how they're doing it. I want to see how they're rolling out their content. I want to see their emails. I want to see how fancy it is or how not fancy it is. It's the only way I was able to learn. Like I invested in B School in 2012, Marie Forleo's B School. Not so much because I needed the content, but it was the only program I knew of at the time where I can learn how to structure a multi-week program online. Without going through B School, I would never have been able to create the weight loss coach training program. I would never have been able to create the academy. I knew the content, but I didn't know the structure. So I think modeling structure from people who, like you with the cooking classes, you know what you're doing, right? Like model your structure and then create your own way of doing it, but pour that work into the structure create that you've already created. It's the only way to learn.
Well, I was in the mud a lot, Lori. You know, I was in those
Me too.
It was years, painful years of figuring it out.
But the truth is like, why wouldn't anyone want to pay a couple $100s to not go through that?
And I think because people think I can figure this out or I need to make it my own, but you can make it your own. Any of those done for you, I bought them too, a lot of them just to see. And it gives you the ideas. And so you start out with them and then you just keep like changing it up to be more and more of who you are.
Yeah, it's the only way
while you're doing it as well. So what do you say are the most important steps to create or to launch something? I mean, this is a little different for us because we're talking cooking classes, but you know, I think it's really important because we're talking a lot of online stuff. You're an online guru, but like we said before, it really is the same thing. You just need to learn how to become a business person and scale it up. You can go teach, classes at the Y for your friends every, a couple times a month, or you can start to think, how am I going to like this with the email, the gift certificates, like marketing, how do you grow this? It's like a machine you want to grow.
I think the first step is to stop identifying as a health coach. Like you said at the beginning, or like I identified as just a nutritionist. That's what I always say. People are like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just a nutritionist. And at the beginning you said you needed to, until you started thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur. And if you think of yourself as a business owner, a responsible business owner, no responsible business owner would start or grow a business without some type of plan and marketing strategy. And so whether you're doing cooking classes or you're doing cleanses or whatever it is, you need to know that you need a marketing strategy, and you need to do it in the way that's most comfortable for you. So if social media is not good for you, that's fine, but figure out another way that you can put yourself in front of the people that you're trying to help. They're not going to come to you. They're not going to find you. It's not going to happen. And so where to start and what to focus on, I'm going to go back to figuring out who your classes are for. Like there's 2 things, or 3 actually. There's W's. Who are you? What do you do? And what's the transformation, right? Like, what am I going to get out of the class? It's not learning how to cook. No one cares, right? Like no one just wants to learn to cook. They want to learn to cook because of something. So what is that something? Because if we all had our way, like we wouldn't cook and we would just buy processed food all the time. So what is the transformation? What is the benefit that these clients are going to get out of your class? Like, who are you? Why should anyone care? What do you do and who do you do it for? And what's the transformation that someone's going to have after they come to one of your classes? If you can't communicate that, and it's not easy, and I'm not saying it is, but you need to be able to verbally say, this is why you need to come to my class, because it's certainly not to, learn how to make almond milk, for example. I keep picking on poor almond milk. It's my like nemesis, but no one just wants to make almond milk for the sake of, there's a reason. They care about their kids and they don't want the chemicals. So you have to find out the angle, right? Like, find the angle and be able to tell someone, look, like, after you attend my class, you're going to know X, Y, and Z, and it's going to help you in your life this way, this way, this way, and this way.
And I got to say, Lori, I think it's also everyone's responsibility who's listening to know what is your end result that you want to achieve. Because I tell people, like, you don't even have to be a health coach. You can be a person off the street who can buy a done for you cooking class, and you love cooking and you just want to do this as your business. If you're creating a business cooking, and then you give tons of tips, but if you're a health coach, you need to be super careful about that too. It's like doing an intake, you're giving enough information to, as you said, the appetizer, get them to know, and then you have to know what your end result is. Are you trying to drive them into a private coaching practice? Are you trying to drive them into like a group program? There definitely is a strategy also with the cooking classes. You have to know, where do you want to end up? Because when I first started doing it, I just thought I'm Martha Stewart. I'm out there like, la, 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 cooking. That didn't get me anywhere. I needed to know what's the end result. And I think that's really important for everyone. Like, yes, you want to know who you are and like give these benefits so they know what they're going to get out of it, but they have to know what's the ultimate goal. And so
if you're looking for longevity in your business, right? Like, there's only so many cooking classes, and you're running them out of your house or wherever you are. They're limited to the number of people. And so, again, going back to, are you just a health coach or just someone who does cooking classes, or are you a business owner? Because a business owner sits down and goes, okay, where's the revenue coming from?
Right.
Like, what's the longevity of this? And I was at a conference this weekend in New York, and I was actually sitting beside someone who's a health coach, and she does cooking and she makes her own products and stuff like that. And I said, what's your end game? Like, what's, it's great that you do that and your products are amazing. And she has these like things that she called amaze balls. They were so good. They were like power balls. And I was like, this is great, but so what? So what? And so she was telling me what she really wanted to do was she really wanted to work with people and do intuitive cooking with them privately, right? And go in once a week for 6 weeks on a system and do intuitive cooking with people. And I was like, that's amazing. You should be charging like $2,000 for that. Like, that's substantial.
It's a program.
It's a program.
Yeah.
That's substantial.
And like, because you're so keyed in and expert on creating. And I remember the first time someone asked me about scaling up, I was kind of like, scaling up? I didn't even know what the heck scaling up meant, So, fish, I must have thought something else. But I realized, oh my gosh, there's, I'm thinking I'm going to the cooking classes. It's a two-way thing. You're going to do the cooking classes to, yes, bring people into either your practice or group programs. But it's also a way, if you are strategic, that it becomes a group program and you can get a lot more people that you're working with and make a lot more money than the one-on-one. So I think there's that advantage to doing it as well. You could get doing a demo style, you can have 30 people and you charge, $50 a person. You made a pretty good, little pocket of change for the day. So there's definitely ways to get all of this to work. So I might have covered up the chat. I don't see any questions. So, am I missing anything? Because I don't want to.
Do you want to open it up for questions?
Yeah. So you all can be heard. I believe. I don't think anybody's muted. Let's see.
I want to follow up to what you just said. I would almost use the cooking classes as like a lead magnet. Like, you know how we're like people are taught to like create a lead magnet? Like I would use a one-off cooking class as like a lead magnet to get those people into like a series or like a workshop or a program or something. I would use that. Okay. Oh, you can answer this. I have no idea.
Oh, so I'm seeing, I don't know if you guys are muted. If anybody wants to try to speak, let us know because I'm not seeing the unmute on everybody. I don't know, Lori, if you see anything, but okay. So the question came in, where do you recommend to do cooking classes? Oh my gosh, that's such a big question. It really, really, it so depends. And again, it depends on what your final outcome is that you want. If you are looking to work with women, say, and that's like a part of your business, you want to work with women who have like hormone issues, then you're probably going to want to go to like women's clubs and maybe even a doctor's office that's maybe an alternative doctor. Or I mean, I've done some of the best cooking classes I've had are at like realtors' offices. You wouldn't necessarily think that you're going to go in and do that, but and it's always a little. You just keep it simple, like and in those done for you, I have like a couple of simple things that just hand out a handout, do like one small dish, and keep it more of a demo. But you're talking about the benefits, and always you're talking about how stressed out everybody is and how busy everybody is, and that that they don't have time to do this. And so how you in your programs keep it simple. If you're looking to work with children, clearly then you're going to probably try to go to maybe boys and girls clubs or to the schools. I don't love going to the schools, in all honesty, because it starts to get a little political, but I have had great ones at private schools. Private schools pay for it and you don't have any problems. I see Consuela raised her hand. So I hope I answered that. It really does depend on the, okay, so.
There's someone else that, can you see it?
Yeah, but so Consuela, can you speak? I'm not seeing, maybe because it's a webinar and it's not letting. So if you have a question, type it into the chat or the Q&A. So I see Sandra asked, are your cooking classes designed to offer live or online? That's up to you. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm not a big video person, so I am one that goes in person. But popping up a camera, I think Lisa Kelly is on here who recommended the camera for me. And that's simple enough to do, but it depends on what you want to do. And Lori is going to tell you, if you do it online, oh boy, you can scale it up. So I think that's a great question.
My girlfriend, Melissa Ramos, is a nutritionist with a background in acupuncture, and she does Periscope cooking classes in her kitchen. And she just has a stand for her phone, and she will just bang out like a really simple recipe, and she'll just like stuff spills. She doesn't care. Like, and she does it on Sunday nights, so she like preps for people for the week and stuff. It's a really great idea. I think if you're going to do cooking classes, you should absolutely be doing at least some on video, just for people to be able to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Something on video. You need to have, whether it's even yourself cooking or you just do like a little taping of something you're doing. Oh, people are definitely eating up the video. So yeah. Consuela just asked, how many people do you do or demo in a class? Again, a demo it's up to you. I mean, it's pretty limitless because it's a tasting. There is, the rule of thumb is 2 ounces. That's a tasting. So you can have as many people as you want. So there's
Can I
no.
share a funny story about my food demos that I used to do?
You
So
what?
I used to do food demos to get clients. So one of the things that I used to do that worked all the time, and remember, I don't cook. So, and nor do I eat dairy. So I worked in the gym, but even when I was in a gym, I never was handed clients. I always had to get my own. And what I did was I made like a yogurt bar. So I went and I bought Greek yogurt, and I bought like those little plastic wine cups, from the dollar store, like those plastic ones. And then I went to a bulk store and I bought like goji berries and hemp seed and chia seed and just all these different like coconut, like shaved coconut, cinnamon, and I bought all these toppings. And so what I would do after the spin class got out, after the yoga class, like after every group fitness class, I would dollop like a tablespoon of the Greek yogurt into this wine cup, and then I would have probably like 50 of them, 100 of them, and people would come and like do their own toppings. And then I would have a sign up sheet for recipes that if they wanted more after workout recipes, they could put their name down, and that's how I got them on my list. But they loved the yogurt demos. Loved them.
I love that. See? And you say you don't like to cook, so you don't have to love to cook to do this.
No.
It's not the cooking, it's the message. And I think people overcomplicate it and they think they have to be a chef. People ask me all the time, oh, but you're a chef. I'm like, I'm not a chef. I'm actually not a chef. And here I am teaching all these cooking classes because it's about, people don't really need to learn these big sophisticated things. They can watch TV for that. They can go to, some fancy restaurant and take some cooking class. What they're looking for is, like you said, the answers, the help them with their problem, make it easy. If I say to you, here's this recipe and it's got 20 things on it, you're gonna, oh. But if I say, look at how simple this is, and if I can do it, you can do it, then it's user-friendly. So I see Consuela's asking portions in Lunch and Learn. Again, it's completely up to you. A Lunch and Learn, and I have the corporate packages also. The Lunch and Learns are, you're gonna decide with HR. It's like, do you want me to serve them lunch? How many people? If there's 15 people, you can handle it. If they got 50 people, you're probably going to just do the little demo and show them things and maybe do a little tasting. I usually always think you should have a tasting. Tasting, again, that's tasting, 2 ounces. So you don't need to go crazy. Completely up to you. These are like questions that, by the way, one of the bonuses for being here tonight and sticking around till the end, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to thank Lori for coming, and I am going to end the recording, and then I'm going to tell you guys about the bonuses because I want to make it for people who stuck to the end, because I'm going to really give some pretty good bonuses. And so thank you all for listening to the recap, and I'm going to end the recording, and thank you, Lori.